Reactables. It's not in the dictionary. We made it up.
A martini production.
Hey guys, John the Everyday Collector here, and welcome back to the channel, The Everyday Collector. You love to see another episode of Reactables here with some fun news, amazing news. But before we get into it, I'm going to introduce these beautiful faces and a panel full of YouTube talent. We got Brenton to kick it off. What's going on, Brenton? Thanks for being here. How's it going?
Just putting in some overtime for you, so we could react to these Catwoman.
I appreciate it. I know it's a late night, man, I tell you that. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you. And we got the sweet Eddie, Ed, and Eddie. What's going on, buddy?
Dude, excited to talk a piece that's long awaited and a surprise piece too. Like, you know.
Times two.
Yeah, serious.
It's nice to get it one time. We're getting it twice. It's unbelievable.
Careful what you wish for.
Exactly. And we got Buck. Appreciate you being here, man. How's everything going?
It's going well. Going well.
Good stuff. Well, glad you guys can make it. We're gonna jump right into this because it's pretty exciting, even for me. I'm really enjoyed this teaser, and now we kind of see the full reveal of both what Prime 1 is putting out as well as Darkside Collectibles. So let's kick it off. We are going to talk today about our reactions to the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman from Batman Returns. We're getting this from two companies. I was excited to get it from one. Now we're getting the surprise from two well-known companies, both Prime 1 and Darkside Collectibles. I want to hear your thoughts. They put these out. Of course, it's head-to-head competition because we got this teased. We knew it was coming from Darkside, but completely sidelined from Prime 1. I think it's great. Good, healthy competition. This year we're looking at right now, we're kicking it off with the Prime 1 Studios one. I want to hear your thoughts, guys. What do you think? How do you like this rendition? Anybody goes.
I'll start.
Everybody's rip it apart.
Sick. I thought it was crazy. Like you said, with the teases, I wasn't expecting this. It came out of left field. Like, we hadn't seen this on any of their showcases. Nothing. Like, they hadn't even mentioned this. And the Batman movie pieces that they have done are not from this. So when we got the teaser for this, I was like, this is crazy. And the first thing I thought was, this is awesome, because I have the Prime 1 Batman Forever stuff on order, and I would love to continue that line, and to be able to do it in the same company, kind of like, I don't know, it makes it more of a line to me. It's cool. And then when we saw the full reveal of it, my initial thoughts were the base is amazing. I really love the base. The detail in it I feel is amazing. And the only negative thing that I thought from the reveal was that it only had one portrait, which kind of, I don't know if it's a bad thing, but it's definitely like sad to see for me, because she has iconic looks, and I wanted to see a damaged portrait, and they didn't do it. They just did one, and I don't know if that was due to license or due to like having seams for switch outs or whatever, but that was the only negative thing, and it's not even like a deal breaker. That was my only negative for it.
How about you, Buck?
First impression, gorgeous piece. She is beautiful. Pose is majestic. It's got this like very strong contrapposto going on, where like she has all these opposing tilts to the different axes of her body. You see her hips are tilting the one way, and then the shoulders are tilting the opposite direction. Her head is so slightly like offset from her shoulders, trying to tilt the other way again, back towards the hips. And then you have the pose in the leg. You have a straight opposing, another straight, kind of like a straight, but the leading leg has like a nice curve to it as well. And you have that curve of the whip going through the whole thing. Very nice composition, but still it's like simple. Everything is black, but you get a nice amount of variation in the surface, like quality. there's some matte parts, there's some satin parts, and then there's some like very high gloss parts, and that makes a statue that is pretty much all black still look like interesting when you're like when your eye is like bouncing around the different points of interest. Uh, so yeah, I appreciate this statue. I think the base is really good as well.
Yeah, that was my question. Is what did you think on the base?
Nice material, like separation there as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Even though there's a kind of, I would say, speckled quality to the texture on the surface of the metal
Mm-hmm.
and the concrete, it's not the exact same texture. A lot of companies, you see them, they put the exact same texture on everything, and it makes it hard to differentiate the like surface of the materials from each other. It might as well go like, why is everything made out of concrete, right? But
Yeah.
here, they're not doing that. They're using a specific kind of pitted metal like texture, and it's believable as a metal that has a pitted surface, uh, you know. And then you got like the concrete with its different cracks in the surface, and it's like the pores that you see on the concrete, they're expressed in a way that's believable. And then you have that pipe. You have all these different kind of metals on the base, and yet they don't look the same. They look like it's different kinds of metal in the sculpt and in the paint. And I appreciate when the company is able to do that and sell you on what that material is.
Most definitely. The attention to detail is
Yeah,
phenomenal on this piece. Yeah, and I love having you on. I like speaking with you because the attention that you bring to the piece. Like I would have never when I look at this piece, I look at it head to toe, but I don't get that experience of, well, look at the waist is tilted one way and the shoulders are another. Like I would have never noticed that. Like so that's I appreciate it because it brings a different. It opens my eyes when I'm looking at a piece because now that's all I can look at, right? I can how they were able to contort the body this way. It for me, it adds more character to the piece.
yeah. And if you even look at it from like the tip of her head,
Yeah,
if you follow like an imaginary line, like across that side of her body, you can
yeah,
see a curve going from the tip of her head, like her like, and you can see the stretch
yeah.
in her pelvis and like the rib cage on the torso. See how that it like gives that curve that goes all the way from her head to the tip of her toe on the leg that's at the back, and so you get a very strong like suggestive line with that.
I'm gonna be after the stream here. I'm gonna be looking at my statues, see what else has a curve over here. How about you, Brenton?
Well, it's hard to follow Buck after he's been so eloquent about this whole
Jeez.
statue. So it's be like anything I say is just gonna sound dumb at this point. But
No, come on.
give it my best shot. Uh, what really sticks out to me is just a couple of things of the details on the suit. Like I really like how the stitching seems either unfinished or broken in some spots, and it looks like string is just dangling down where the suit has then a small gap where the stitching once was.
Like on the shoulder there, or near the
Yeah, it looks like on the back of the shoulder blade.
yeah.
And then they have one that I noticed a lot during the right thigh, also had one. But I like the different textures in this suit. I feel like it made me go look at movie stills and notice things that I didn't notice for 30 years with this suit. Because I never picked up that she was wearing actually a corset
Mm-hmm.
over top of what looked like a kind of leather suit. Like that is something that never stuck out to me. And I think I also appreciate the little detail on the base with the hello there, and then it looks like, when it lights up at night, it just says the hell here, like after she first transformed
Exactly.
into Catwoman. And I think that may look, it'll be a really cool effect if you have this displayed at night with like a low lit room, and if you can see that, just to see that neon glow and see how bright that is, I think that could be a very cool effect.
completely agree. I think it's beautiful. I think it's more than what we asked for. This was Prime One teaming up with Blitzway, and you know some of the pieces that they've put out, that collaboration, have been phenomenal. They showed us that Linda Carter, which was absolutely beautiful, and I think this is along the same track. Like this is close to perfect in my opinion. This was some of the teaser photos that we originally got. Look at the detail on the nails.
Yeah, the nails are cool, and die cast is a nice touch.
They said diecast?
Yeah, in the description it says die cast.
Oh, they confirmed diecast, eh? Oh wow,
Also.
that's amazing.
Is the whip
Should double check because
posable?
maybe the Darkside said die cast. Maybe I
Oh.
know one of them did, but I'll double check.
Let's see. What were you asking? The whip?
Yeah, is that posable? I would assume that it would have to be some kind of material that isn't.
That's a good point. If it might be so, if it's posable, then it's possible it might be hard or maybe even impossible to get the exact form of the whip that they have in there. But if
I'm
it's
wondering.
like maybe a PVC in a fixed shape, then
Yeah.
maybe.
It was confirmed that it is the Prime One that's diecast nails.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's my next thought. Is like either that's PVC, more similar to Detective 1000 cape, like
Yeah.
that kind of material, maybe that they use that they can form in this shape now for a whip, or even if it's some kind of, I don't know. Do you think they would use like a painted vinyl of some sort? That because they don't want to ship this in a way that's going to break easy, right? You know, they're going to have to.
So you
Make
think
it-
that's going to be flexible, where you can pose it?
It may not be posable, but I think it will have a little give to it.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, I don't see that, necessarily lasting through the shipping process.
Could be a shipping nightmare. Yeah. This one's coming in at 29.5 inches tall. The width is 31. Sorry, height is 75 centimeters, width is 31 centimeters, and depth is 31 centimeters. That's what they have here.
Not too crazy.
Nothing,
You
yeah.
can put it in a detail.
Yeah. See, I want to bring it to this attention, and this is the one thing that I noticed that got me, because I started looking at some stills. Is the corset here looks like fabric, like it's wrinkled, right? It has those folds. And I looked at some movie stills, and I'll show you the movie stills. I did want to mention also the bonus part on the Prime One is you're getting the cat. You're getting Miss Kitty.
It actually looks well done for
Yeah.
an animal in statue form.
Yep, definitely. But here's some of the stills, okay? And it doesn't have the wrinkles in it. It almost looks like it's a solid, like the corset is like a solid material. And it's when she's at least in a sitting position or standing position, it doesn't have the ripples in it. You can see here on the left, same thing. But when she's laying down, then that's when you see them. So what do you guys think? Would you have liked to see it completely? Because that's the way we're going to get into the Darkside version. But that's the way Darkside did it. It was completely just seamless and clean without having that difference in what looks like texture
But
with
do
the corset.
you see how on the left there it is an actual corset? Like it's not part of the upper torso of the suit. You see how
It's separate.
definitely two separate?
Definitely.
Darkside's is not separate.
It looks like one. Whoa.
It's one piece.
Okay, we'll have to look.
There is no corset on Darkside's. I'm pretty sure. We're gonna get into it, but
From the back, I think it looks like a corset, but
okay.
I see what you're saying
Yeah.
from the front, where it may look at like one piece.
You can't
But-
see separation, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
it may not be as accurate the way Prime One is with the wrinkles while it's fully upright, but I actually appreciate the detail and the separation between the smoothness of the other textures. And I feel like a lot of the people that I showed, at least around me, like agreed that the details make it stand out.
yeah.
So for me, could be completely inaccurate, but for me, I think it's growing on me more just because it you see something more there. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's more to the piece.
It's very minute nitpicking, to be honest. Because other than that, I think it's
The cat though, is the cat necessary? Like, if you get this, John, are you getting the bonus?
I'll get the bonus. Yeah, most definitely.
Just because it's a bonus, probably, right? Would you use the cat, or you wouldn't?
I'd probably use the cat. I like one cat instead of three, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't need the cat. I think if I got the bonus,
yeah.
it would just to be to say I
Yeah,
have the bonus.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of thing.
I would have much rather a bonus head sculpt.
Yes.
Like that to me the cat seems, out of everything, so detailed, so like all these things that Buck mentioned and everything, the cat seems like an afterthought to just throw in there.
Well, we need to put some sort of bonus.
Yep.
I agree with you. I think that's where, and we'll see because we haven't gotten prices on this yet. But I think that's where we're gonna see if that's gonna really make a difference in price. Because
I heard earlier, I haven't seen this, and I don't know if they put a post up, but someone said $12.99, and that it's going up for pre-order on Thursday.
Tomorrow.
Really, okay, that's news to me. I haven't seen that anywhere.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that either, but someone
$12.99. Wow.
So I don't know if that's
because I know Darkside said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that they didn't add a portrait because of the seam line then.
The seam line.
Because now they don't have, this looks seamless, like they don't have seam lines
Well,
for that.
Look here in the back. I noticed there on this left-hand photo. Do you see that? You can see a bit of the neck there.
An area.
Yeah.
That you could have had a switch out for.
They could have. So I think, what do you think, Buck, about a portrait? Would you have liked to seen a portrait?
Yeah, it would have been a nice addition. I think generally when Prime 1 adds switch outs, though, they charge too much for them. You know, difference in price between a deluxe version and a normal version can be $200, and it's the difference is real. Can just be like a portrait, and so I don't know. It depends. I think the main thing is definitely her with the mask. She's up. Oh,
Yeah.
$12.99.
Oh, it's up already, $12.99.
Yeah, today the pre-order it just kicked in because it's
Wow.
today, November 2nd.
Yeah.
Is the day.
Thank you, Eddie.
You can't PO it yet, but
Those are
it
the
still
details?
says coming soon. So I'm wondering, because it hasn't hit 3 p.m. Japan yet.
Yeah.
That's when I think it's officially open. So it's later today.
Okay, well, you guys heard it here first. Well, not first. By the time this airs, it's probably not first. But $12.99. Wow. What do you guys think about that? Damn, $12.99.
I think that's
Like,
great.
You think it's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 1/3, I was expecting 1,500-ish or
Okay.
higher,
Okay.
and $12.99 to me seems like a great price for a 1/3 with a likeness to Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't know if it's because it's half of her, they don't have to pay as much. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I'm happy with that price.
Does it give you there a Brenton a what am I thinking of? Release date?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, it was, I think, May of...
Next year? 2023? Oh, wow. Okay.
Let me check, because I think it may have been 2024.
Jeez.
It's probably 2024, but I'll double check.
Some
here
time to
quick.
save. I don't mind that, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess I don't either.
Beautiful.
I think what's it called? The
Yeah. So estimated arrival. Sorry, Buck.
no worries.
February to May 2024.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Damn, that's a ways away. What were you saying, Buck?
I was just gonna remark on the price point, and I was gonna say it's for a Prime One piece with Blitzway. It's been a while since they've done something affordable in third scale.
Mm-hmm.
All the newer pieces have been like around 1,500, 1,600, you know, and so definitely it's not a cheap statue. Doesn't have any switch outs, but like for a Prime One piece, it's uh it's definitely on the lower end of what you would expect.
Yeah, and I feel like they were able to kind of give us that value because they didn't go with any swap out portraits or anything like that. So again, you're for a great rendition of Pfeiffer, I think Prime One was able to deliver. But we also have the competition, the original competition that really gave us the first teaser was Darkside Collectibles, and they showed off theirs here as well, which is I think it's beautiful. I think they did a good job as well. Um, to be honest, I'm not feeling the cats on the base too much. I know that can be. Some people say who's looking at the cats, but at the end of the day, they're there, and apparently, Eddie, I don't know if I'm correct, but they're maybe removable, like almost like magnetic, where you don't have to display them on there. Is that correct?
I think there was confusion with that
Okay.
because I haven't seen any pictures of the real cats removed. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
there's cats on top, and then there's the stone cats on the corners.
Yes.
And I've seen pictures of those cats removed.
Removed. Okay.
But I haven't seen any pictures of the real life cats
Removed.
So I'm unsure about that.
They mixed up the cats. Should have been the other ones that were
Yeah.
able to remove.
Which I like the other ones. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't
of
even
course.
remove 'em, yeah.
Of course.
What do you think about this being in a similar pose to Prime 1, but it doesn't have as much of a curve, but it's a very similar pose. The whip is in a similar shape. That really stuck out to me, that these two are kind of looking pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. Gesturally, I would say the Prime One is stronger. Definitely, it's not. It's not even a question. It just breaks in the form in terms of just those critical points where like you can get a twist and a bend in the human body. Like you're getting more elegant like transitions, and I guess I'd say more stretched poses from the Prime One. They're pushing the pose further, even because like aside from the fact that the Prime One is leaning to the side, you can also see that her torso is twisted as well slightly, and that creates like a nice pinch like in the back and around the like where the ribs meet the pelvis on the torso.
Do you think that makes it a more seductive female pose, like when they execute it that way?
Yeah, it's like both of them are going for the same thing, and I think just in that regard, Prime One is executing the pose better.
Yeah.
Like yeah, as far as likeness goes, both are really good from like what I've seen. And when I compared both, I would say the Prime One ended up. Should I get to that point now, or maybe I should wait for that to?
The comparison photos?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got some comparison photos. Yeah, if you want to compare afterwards, we definitely can.
I'll do that later then.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
just like on the face of it, a strong statue.
Yeah.
It's very nice. You know, without like just going into the portrait, I really like the way they painted the skin. There's like some soft transitions. It's like everything is pretty subtle. The highlights and then the color shifts in the skin tones, especially on the masthead. I think I like it a lot. But on masthead, there's a kind of shadowing going on around the bridge of her nose that
Mhm.
looks like it looks a bit too stylized. It stops being too realistic, and it's what is happening there is like almost like if a woman was using makeup to contour her nose, and you could see that she was doing so, like you can kind of see the shading,
Yeah, I can see
and
it here.
and I'm not entirely sure if that's just the shadow from the lighting or it's the way it's been painted.
Mhm.
I think it's actually the way it's been painted, but I might be wrong. Um, when I compare this to the renders they showed previously, I think in the renders probably uh, the unmasked portrait ended up looking a bit better. But overall, striking piece.
Cool. And they're the same portraits, just one's masked, and one has the sculpted hair because they're identical. Now we were able to I was mistaken because I couldn't figure out the point as to where she was in the movie, with no mask and in the suit. It was at the very end. But the thing here is when it was at the end, hair was really messy, makeup was everywhere. So although I think this looks like a great sculpted portrait, for likeness in the movie, I don't think it's there.
Yeah, the ending was a little shocking.
The kiss, Santa Claus.
Oh, funny. That was good. I'll see if I can add that clip. That was good. Well sculpted though. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm really
It's
on the
funny.
fence.
The more I look at them and the more you guys talk about it, I see it's kind of hard to pick one or the other because I feel like they're different statues representing different things that I like from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you guys say sexy, or like John said contort on the other one, and so the other one is more contorted, which I like, because in the movie she's kind of like creepy at first, you know what I mean? Like she moves like a contortionist, kind of like. So I like that aspect of the Prime One. It's more contorted like that. So it's like it reminds me of like that creepy vibe she had.
Yeah.
But then this one is sexier to me, and she was also sexy in the movie. So I get that vibe from the pose on this one. And then the base on the other one reminds me of like the grittiness of Gotham. But then on this one, it kind of gives me that Tim Burton vibe.
Yes.
Of like the cartoony comic aspect of it.
Especially with the two sculptures on the side. Yeah.
It kind of sucks looking at both of them, because the more I look at them, the more different they feel to me, even though they're so similar.
Yeah.
They're so different, representing different things that I like, that it only makes sense to get them both now.
No, well, I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. Like,
I
just feel like they're so different and so similar at the same time.
I'm with you in the sense that I think if we were able to take things from both pieces and combine them together, you can make the perfect Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman statue.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the way the hell here is at the front of the base. I think you mentioned that previously. I like that a lot. But you can see here how the body, the corset area in the front, doesn't have the wrinkles. But if you look at the back, you can see the cutoff line there, where the tie, where you tie it. If you look on the right-hand side.
You know, looking at it too, is the base have actually hello there spelled out, or is it just hell here?
I think it's hell here.
No, it has hello there. You can see the T on the bottom part.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
see.
it
that
kind
was
of
like
looks
part
like
of the
more
brick
like
of
it's
the
just
wall or
etched
something.
in there.
It looks
put in
etched,
there,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they painted the hell here.
I personally like the hello here better
Yeah,
on
I
the
like
Prime
that
One.
It's in the.
Yeah. I
I
prefer it on
like
the
that
Prime
this
one.
is in the front.
But that etching, the way they did, I like it better on the Prime One. I agree.
Also, the painting, in the likeness or in the portrait, I love, but it does feel less in the eyes, maybe less detailed than the Prime One. But I don't know if the Prime One will end up coming like that in the production piece. So
yeah,
they
It
could end
won't.
up very well being very close.
Yeah.
And just to mention quickly as well, because I don't think I mentioned it. This is coming in third scale, and unlike the Prime One, you'll have the alternative option of ordering it in quarter, and I think quarter is going to be more produced, because when Darkside came out, they said the third scale, we're going to be doing it in third scale, but it's going to be, and I quote, very, very limited. Sorry, Buck, what you were saying.
Yeah. I was going to say, based on track record, Prime 1 is like, and Blitzway, they're never able to match the paint job on the skin and the portraits like to what K.A. Kim does with the prototypes. She's just in a league of her own.
Yeah.
And to expect that from the factory, it's never happened, and I don't think it's ever going to, unless they change something drastically in the production. Like, Yeah, and so it's kind of difficult when you're trying to gauge which statue to choose because you're not exactly sure what you're going to get in production from like the Prime one.
Do you think that'll be easier for Prime One because her face is a little more pale when she becomes Catwoman? She loses the color, like the more of the skin tone, and becomes more. I'm
Hmm.
gonna say like a whitish or paler
Hmm. But
color. Maybe easier for them to recreate that then.
when I'm sure we'll see more pictures soon of the face, and you see that it's not just that it's white. There's so much detail,
Yeah.
like in like the depth of the skin and the variation.
I just want to finish off showing off the Darkside version, then we could get into the comparisons. They give you the Gotham Globe. It's a catastrophe on a newspaper with one of the cat's paws on it on the base, and then
Explain it well.
on the back side we get the Batman Returns logo, which is nice as well.
I feel that looks like cheap
Do you think
to
so?
to me compared to the Prime One. Like after
Compared
seeing,
to the Prime one.
Okay.
You know, I think I know why that is, and I'll say the reason why this looks a bit flat is most of the heavy lifting is happening in the painting for the base, and the sculpturally, there's not that much texture being expressed in the rock as much as we were seeing in the prior one, and so it's also the question then is like when you're leaving so much work to the paint, are we even going to see that in the production? Some good edge highlighting happening with the on the like raised edges for the stone base
Yeah.
and some nice speckling in the paint, but
Will we
it's
get
not
that in
very
hand?
texture heavy. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you get it in there, it's just going to be gray stone, like one gray, one variation of gray, right? And
Yeah.
then even the cracks where the cat's paws are,
Yeah.
like they look weird because they don't look like they have any depth to them. Like at least they don't look like they have enough depth. Very shallow, and then they look odd to get a crack like that, and then it's not even deep into the rock itself. How do you? It looks almost like someone just took a shallow, maybe a screwdriver or a knife, and just carved it shallowly into the surface. So it doesn't even look like a real legitimate crack in the surface.
Definitely.
To me, that that feels intentional to me to like show maybe the prop or whatever they use in the actual film. This is how it would have looked. Like it's like that less is more kind of, or that like that's why I say that they're different but not necessarily bad. It does come off cheaper, but it's not. To me, it feels intentional because that movie was so old and it was done at a time when the props and things may not have been as detailed and things like that. So, not necessarily a bad thing for me. It's just different.
Hmm. And this is the hell here
Yeah,
on
and
the
there's the
base.
T and the O that I wasn't
Yeah.
seeing. You see it clearly.
There you go.
so
Yeah.
they have LED illumination as well, or is there's going to be batteries? I wonder. Like, are they gonna have a plug-in, or is it batteries?
That'd be a
So
good.
far, when we looked at the back of the base, there was no
Exactly.
like port.
Yeah.
So maybe you pull off the plaque and then there's a battery compartment hidden behind
Yeah.
that.
Could possibly
I
be,
guess.
definitely. So here's some of the comparison photos I know we wanted to get to. So on the left we have the Prime 1 Studio and Blitzway collaboration. In the center we have the, of course, this is still taken from the movie. And on the right we have the Darkside Collectibles. Shout out to K1 for the comparisons. But what are your thoughts, likeness-wise? Which way are you leaning?
I'm leaning towards Prime One. It has more going for it in the skin tone, but I think the biggest part is the eyes. And there's like a size and shape to the eyes that is more accurate with the Prime One, whereas the Dark Side definitely looks like Michelle Pfeiffer. Just doesn't look like Michelle Pfeiffer the way she did in this movie. If that makes sense. It looks almost like she just had some clean, nice makeup and then she put on this costume again. Versus you really getting that pale, look in the Prime 1 prototype on the side. And then the eyes, there's also like the smokiness. It's done in a way that feels closer to the movie. I don't know. Definitely for me, the biggest point is the eyes. Then I also like the fact they matched the torn part of the
Yeah,
cowl
I was looking at that, like the
up
widow's
top.
peak there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I think I
agree with
agree
that.
100% with you, Buck. Like I feel like overall face is better on Darkside, but those eyes really stick out to me in this comparison. That it just doesn't look right compared to even the movie or what Prime One did.
I think I think I like the like playful like kind of like playful
smirk.
sarcastic expression of the Prime One,
Yeah,
and then I like the sexy expression of the Dark Side. I also think that you guys are right about the tear. They nailed that. I feel like that's a knock against Dark Side. They missed that one there, but also I like the way that the skin is painted more on the Dark Side
really.
over the Prime One. I
Okay.
like the eyes better, like you said, on the Prime
Mm-hmm.
One, but I
Mm-hmm.
like the skin more, the skin tone and the lip tone. That could just be the pictures that each had, like lighting or whatever. But in this look, I feel like the skin tones and the lip tones with the lipstick match closer to Michelle Pfeiffer, even though the eyes are better on the Prime
Yeah.
One.
And what are your thoughts on suit wise? Like you can see on the dark side, there's a texture almost to the suit, as opposed to
Mhm.
the Prime One where it looks just clean, like spotless almost.
I think the more I look at it, the more Prime One wins on the suit
Okay.
in every way to me. Like the detail, the texture, the different rips.
The
Prime
rips,
One is
like Brenton brought up. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
and you're right. The smoothness. I think Prime One suit is way better.
Something I'll say about that is looking at the reference in the middle and comparing the two pieces in terms of the suit, you can actually see the highlights and you can compare the highlights on each statue. And the prime one is the clearest, right? The reason why the prime one is the clearest is because it's being reflected off a completely smooth surface. And then you have the second clearest one in terms of the reflection that we're getting is the movie piece. So it's the actual movie, right? And then we have the dark side. And I think what's happening is there is actually a slight texture on the surface
Yeah.
of the in the original movie, but it's more subtle than what Darkseid was able to do on theirs. And now the question is, are you actually even going to notice something like this
Yeah.
when you put the statue in your display and you're looking at it from 2 feet away? Are you going to stand in front of it and like have your face like mere inches away to even notice that texture? I
Also, the
think
lighting. What kind of lighting are you gonna have it exposed to?
because that texture on the dark side is subtle enough that the moment you just step back, like take a step back, honestly, from the statue, I don't think it's something that's going to be prominent enough for you to note. You know, we're seeing it here because this is a close up, but when we were looking at the pictures that are further away, like this
Mm.
suit looks super smooth, and it actually looks almost maybe even smoother than the Prime One from a distance, and because it's like there's not much detail on the surface, and so when you take that into consideration, right? It's another factor.
Definitely. And then here we got, in comparison on the left, with Dark Side straight up against the Prime One, and then we have the movie and the Prime One together.
The stitching is much more well done on the Prime One. It's more intentional. The Dark Side is more. It's close, but you can tell that they didn't try to replicate it as closely as Prime One did.
Yeah.
They're spaced out more. Um, they kind of seem more like just lines instead of actual stitching.
Like Buck said, besides the eyes, though, I think that Dark Side. I don't know if they got the. I'm leaning towards them for the likeness just a tad better What do you guys think?
I think, like Buck said, seeing these side by side photos, that Prime 1 is closer to Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie, whereas Darkside is closer to
Okay.
Michelle
A Michelle
Pfeiffer,
Pfeiffer.
not
Okay.
necessarily Returns. I think he's 100% right about that.
I feel like the paint is still better on the skin and the eyes, or the eyebrows though. Like even the eyebrows look, the shade of the color on the eyebrows of the dark side look
On the
closer
dark
to the
side.
movie.
To the Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But
There's some.
that could be, like multiple things though.
hmm I think for Prime One also something's happening. I'm fairly certain there's a lot of editing going on with their image.
Oh,
I'm fairly certain they added noise to a image that was very clear, and they did some more like editing techniques to the image. But we'll probably get on the actual product page. There'll be more pictures
Yeah.
because they usually have the stuff that's heavily edited, and then they have the ones that aren't, like without all the fancy background and stuff.
All I'm telling you though, is Eddie brought up a good point. The stitching on the Prime 1 is phenomenal compared to the dark side.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
Something
then
that I
again-
noticed. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Something I noticed they both missed is you're getting some kind of like pulling and some lumpiness around the stitching on the head. Can you see like what I'm talking about?
yeah.
If you had a scar and it was puckered,
Yeah.
When they
because the
pull
tension that's
stitches
going,
tight or
yeah.
something.
So the
Yeah.
tension from the stitches is causing some kind of rippling around the actual stitch, and both statues are missing that on the surface.
Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't look. Neither one of them look like multiple pieces of material attached to each other.
Yeah.
Looks like one piece, and then they just put like stitches on top to
On
make
top
it,
of it.
but they didn't manage to make it look like they're separate and they're like pulled together to make them the mask. Whereas the funny thing is, the actual other parts of the suit on the Prime One, they actually made sure to make it look like that.
Yeah, you
But they
can see
didn't
it.
do it.
You can see it right there on the far right. You can see the shoulder, like the
Mhm.
chest area there, that rip there. You're right.
Yeah.
It's funny
Okay.
looking at the stitching. I feel like they go in slightly different directions too. Like the center part on the Darkside Collectibles between the two, like right in her forehead or top of her head, seems like a wider distance than
Yeah.
the Prime 1. Like their Prime 1 has a little bit more of a curve there, like an S curve. And it's just also funny seeing how the stitching is painted on each one because they're not in necessarily the same. Like sometimes there's an X on one and then not or in that same spot on the Prime 1. So it's just interesting to see the differences there.
And here's the dark side versus the movie. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. And then here are the full statues side by side. So, what do you guys like? Was this seeing everything side by side, discussing it a little bit? Where are you guys leaning? Which one are you leaning more towards? I think these are close. I think this is really going to come down to edition size and value. How much are these companies going to put this out for? You're going to get the edition guys going crazy over the dark side because of that very limited announcement that they did. But then again, you got to look at the price point for what you're getting and take that into consideration. So what are your thoughts, guys? Your final thoughts?
I
I
can
think
go
I have
first.
to get both.
You're going to get both?
I think I don't have a choice, honestly. I think I like so much about both of them that I have to. But originally, this morning, before having talked with you guys, before having talked to anybody, really,
Yeah.
I was 100% on Darkside being the better of the two. And mainly because of the switch out portrait, but also like the sexiness of it, and I just like things about it. But overlooking it and giving it all day to think about it and hearing everybody's opinion, the more we talk about Prime 1, the more we go in depth on it. What Buck was saying about the curvature and everything, the position, the pose. I actually think I like the Prime 1 more now.
I think I'm in the same boat.
I
think
think
so.
if Darkside didn't have that switch out portrait, it would be a hell of a lot easier to just get the Prime 1 for me. But I do think that I should get both if I can swing it. If you can, I don't know how much you're into it, but for me, I'm only gonna get the old Batman stuff for this line, so I can justify having two. And if I end up selling one with the other in hand, then that's what I got to do. But to me, that seems like the only safe
solution
thing that I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Buck? Which way are you leaning?
Money, 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 team. Money, money, money,
yeah.
money. Team.
No, I'm an idiot.
I'm not gonna. I think it's a very, very like good looking statue, but thankfully I don't have a strong attachment to the source material. Normally that wouldn't stop me, but just have to be smart about how I spend my money. I'm waiting for other statues. There's another Catwoman I would like to see.
Oh boy.
So, if Prime 1 or JND should give me a Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman,
maybe
I'll hop on that real quick, as long as they do it well.
But for the people watching, if, let's say, no monetary, let's say you got it for free on a table, off the table, we'll do the club version. Off the table between the two, which one would you pick?
Like Eddie said, the only reason I would consider the Darkside is because of the unmasked portrait. It feels good to have that option, but if I like just looking at both statues, I think the stronger product, at least just from the prototypes, is the Prime 1 statue.
The Prime 1.
Yeah. And based on what I've seen in terms of production from Darkside and Prime 1, I think if Prime 1 can give the same quality as they did with the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, I think I would pick the Prime 1 instead of Darkside.
Darkside. Okay. How about you, Brenton? Last but not least.
Yeah, I think after, especially going in depth like this, the Prime 1 has won me over. I like the texturing of the suit, the way the stitches are done, the base. So I think that's an overall win for me. If I had to choose one, I would definitely just go with the Prime 1.
Okay. All great points. Something else to think of, and that we had casuals show as well, and I mentioned it, is to consider if you're going to be a completionist of the line, or if you're comfortable in mix matching product. So if you have a Catwoman from Darkside, or if you have the Catwoman from Prime, and then other representations of other characters from Darkside, because Darkside's come out and said that they're going to be doing Keaton, Batman. They've come out, they showed us a silhouette of both Keaton, and they showed us a silhouette of the Joker. Right, that's from '89, but I'm sure we'll get a Penguin. I'd like to be hopeful, but Prime 1's been silent. We haven't really seen anything from Prime 1 in the sense of other characters. So maybe depending on how well she sells out, the Catwoman sells, maybe they'll dive deep into other characters. But right now, she's the only one. We weren't even expecting to see Catwoman from Prime. So that's something else to consider, as well as whether you want your display to be just Darkside or you're okay with mixing. Whichever way, it's amazing at the options that we have. Even Darkside bringing to the plate the fact that they're doing quarter and 1/3. I think that's really good as well. Because I think a lot of quarter scale collectors would jump on it. A lot of movie collectors would jump on a quarter scale. Because for me, these movies have so much nostalgia for me. It's what I grew up with. And I've always said if they did it at Returns, '89 Batman, I'd be fully in. So I got to jump on the bandwagon. But and something else to consider, I am leaning more towards the Prime 1, I think. But also, again, we were talking about the way the statue's standing and how the body has that twist. something to consider with Prime 1, which they don't really have a good track record with, is leaning. And how well they're going to execute that. Because again, the legs are skinny. You're going to have a rod through the leg. So how they're going to be able to support that appropriately so we don't have leaning issues in the future, I'm going to be interested in seeing. But you guys, oh my God, you guys killed it. You brought up such great points. For the prototypes that we've been seeing, Eddie, thank you for Eddie and Brenton, thank you for the price. $12.99. It's not the worst, like you guys were saying. Each piece has a few flaws. They do better. One piece may do better in another aspect than another. But
Also, something to note about the
Yeah.
Darkside price. Someone commented on one of their posts saying that it was going to be pricey, and they responded saying that that we're going to be surprised by the price point.
okay.
So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but Darkside tends to run a little higher too.
Yeah.
So being surprised could very well mean it's 1,300 like the Prime 1 piece, but we'll see.
But at 1,300 with a low ES and an extra portrait, maybe that's
even better.
you know what I'm saying? Like more options. The more options, the better. So we'll have to
Oh,
wait and
oh.
see.
You know how you said about the leaning?
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, I guess more pictures will come out, but the dark side actually only has 1 foot on the base.
Okay.
The other foot is up in the air, so it's going to
Really? I
be
didn't notice
balanced.
that.
Yeah. It's
So
going
you
be
think
balanced.
Prime may just put both two keys as opposed to one?
I don't know if Prime will put 2 keys. I think you're going to key the leg in the front, and then the other one is just going to be touching the base and like balancing freely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like at least that one there's 2 feet
Yeah.
in the base. But then again, they still have their track record.
Yeah, like
versus-
Hush Back Cave was one. Yeah.
Yeah,
they
but I feel like those ones that have the leaning usually have a heavy sculpted cape associated with it. Or like the Deathstroke is in kind of more an exaggerated leaning pose.
There's also, I guess, the thing is, sometimes they have other stuff that they don't even have capes that are leaning. Like they had the Evangelion statue where it's like walking forward, its 2 feet are planted, and it's even still holding the angel, but it still started leaning, and people were having issues with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think it's just the difficulty with manufacturing third scale pieces in dynamic poses and making sure they're stable and the weight isn't too much.
Well, I think we're all in a pickle now. Anyone who's interested in getting one, we got to really sit back and be like, hey, which one want to go for? You got to at least wait 2 weeks now because Darkside said they're only going to be putting up the pre-order, I think, in 2 weeks. Prime 1 smart, right around the corner. Okay, ours is going to go up first. So what do you do now? Do you order or do you wait? I personally would prefer to not order any of these until they hit Sideshow. So the faster they hit Sideshow site, I'll feel more comfortable ordering it. That's just my personal opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. $12.99, fairly priced. We'll see what Darkside comes in at, but it's the waiting game now. Hopefully we'll get some more details and photos up for you for Collectors Club on Friday. But yeah, this is a positive release, I think, guys. I'm happy. Thanks for being here, everyone who watched. Appreciate your support. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have some time. We're going to be doing it. We're doing our LBS giveaway, so stay tuned for that. The Thor 1/3 scale Thor. So that's very exciting. Stay tuned for that. And you guys, the panel members, thanks for being on here. Brenton, always appreciate you. Check out Brenton on Sundays with his question of the week. Eddie, thanks for being here, buddy. Eddie's always on stream with us, Club, or with Steve or Cash. Always love having him on. And Buck, love you, brother. You'll see Buck everywhere in the community, on the Facebook groups, giving his opinion and his
sections.
Comment section, his artistic viewpoints on his pieces, because he's experienced, right? He that's a little bit of his expertise there, I'd say. So I always appreciate having a chat with him when it comes to collecting. Not necessarily video producing, but at least collecting. But it's always a blast to spend time with you guys and everyone in the chat. Appreciate you. Until next time, be be sure to collect responsibly. All the best and stay safe.
Meow.